Hello everybody, I'm John. This is JP Strategic Investments and I am back from the ISC West conference at Las Vegas. And again, a big thank you to everyone that supported me and allowed that to happen. I have a ton of great info for you guys, a ton of things to get into. This video specifically will be about Patriot One Technologies and about their demo, everything I learned from that. I also just uploaded a few hours ago a video, just some footage of Evolve and their booth. I will do another video probably tomorrow or the day after that is an entire breakdown of Evolve, their product, their stock, the financials, everything about their company. I'll do a video on that. And then either Thursday or Friday, I'll also do a video comparing Evolve and Patriot One, kind of which product is better, how they compare, pros and cons of each, kind of a whole breakdown of the comparison and their stocks as well and financials and things like that. So without further ado, I want to get into this. The first thing I want to mention is actually in relation to this video behind me. So as you can see, a lot of the, well, one, it's pretty packed. There were a lot of people there. But also, most of the companies, they have their booth set up, kind of their gear, their technology, whatever they're trying to sell or trying to promote. It's all kind of laid out there like that, and anyone can approach. It can get 3 or 4 different customers around asking questions, maybe some people waiting to ask questions, things like that. Patriot One actually did it slightly differently. They didn't actually have a booth like you can actually see Evolve's there. Right in the video there. They didn't have a setup on the actual exhibit floor, so they actually booked a room that I have kind of a picture of right here with the 2 towers and the setup, and it was right off to the side, right outside of the main conference floor. Now, there are some pros and cons with this. Obviously, everybody walking through Evolve right out there had the big signs, everything like that. They have their system set up. They're probably going to get a lot more traffic. The thing is, though, an advantage to this is that the customers get a much more private, a much more one-on-one actual demo and questions and things like that with Peter and the sales team that was there. So, there are pros and cons to this. It's kind of a trade-off. But one thing I will say is they did have time slots that you could book, like hour time slots. For example, I had a 2 p.m. meeting on Monday, but they were actually overbooked on those time slots. So for example, they were meeting with sometimes 2 or 3, I think maybe even 4 customers in those hour time slots each hour. For example, in the meeting that I had, there were actually 2 other potential customers in there in the meeting, in the demo, asking questions, things like that, testing the product out for themselves. So that right there, that's a good thing. In my opinion, you got a ton of interest in the product and they're getting these personalized meetings, kind of being able to really ask the questions that they want to. You guys may have noticed if you watched my video on Evolve's booth. If you haven't, go check that out. It's really loud. There's a bunch of people talking at the same time, kind of a crowd around there. It's hard to really, for a potential customer, to really get questions. And they were allowing people to book, a meeting later on or take a card and things like that. But I think one of the advantages to a meeting like this, especially if you can book multiple customers at once, is kind of that private setting, that ability to really connect with the customer, the potential customer, and see exactly what their needs are. The downside to this, though, is because I was in a meeting with 2 potential customers and because those customers would have been on camera, would be asking questions specifically about their venue and things like that, I wasn't actually allowed to video the demonstration. Now, I took some pictures, as you can see one of them here, but I wasn't actually allowed to video. And you guys know, most Patriot One customers, they're going to have non-disclosure agreements. They don't want to make it public. And so I do apologize for that. I know you guys really wanted to see some video. I promise, though, I'll have a couple more pictures on this video here and I'll give you an entire breakdown of exactly what happened. And I did get several pieces of new information that I didn't know before that I think is pretty exciting about the product. Now, the first thing I want to get into is actually, how the demo went. So first of all, the product works and the product works well. What Peter did is, first of all, he walked through phone, keys, wallet, just walked right through. You could see on the system, actually, let me get to the other picture here. So they had a setup here where you could see one was almost like a live feed, and the other would show a actual still, a picture that, like you guys have seen before in their illustrations, their kind of brochures that they have on their website, with a circle right where any alerts would be. Now, if there wasn't an alert, nothing would happen. It would just walk right through. The live feed would show walking right through. The other feed would show the same thing. When an alert did happen, the live feed would just keep going. The other feed would have a still, like I just said, with a circle, right, wherever the object was on the person's body. Now, he walked through keys, phone, wallet, everything, walked through, no alerts. And then he took, they have kind of this gun decoy, and it's very similar if you guys watched that video on Evolve. Same thing. Obviously, they're not allowed to bring actual weapons into the conference. It's apparently, you know, a certified gun decoy that you can use to test things like metal detectors and things like that, specifically to see if they recognize weapons like that. So apparently it's a good double for an actual handgun, and Evolve was using the same product in their demonstration. So he had that, put it on his body, walked through, immediately triggered an alert, and the circle showed exactly where it was. He also took one of these, basically like a multi-tool or a Leatherman, some of you guys may know it as, basically like this with pliers, and that did alert as well. And then he took that key knife, and if you guys haven't seen that picture, I posted it on the Facebook page and as well on my YouTube channel just as a post in the community tab, if you guys haven't seen that. And that, to me, that blew me out of the water. It's almost shaped exactly like a key, maybe a little bit longer, and it has like a knife with a screwdriver. So it's like a miniature multi-tool, but it is a knife, right? And to me, having the keys on him and not alerting, but having that on his, I think it was in his pocket or in his hand, and it did alert, that to me was pretty impressive. And one thing I will say, and this, even better news for Patriot One, I was actually able to take this tool, or the type of tool that Peter tested, and I went through Evolve's product at the demo with this, and it didn't catch it. And you guys may say, oh, it's just pliers. These have knives on them as well. There's one knife here. There's another knife on this side that's actually serrated. So this is not something that you want in a stadium or at a school or something like that, right? So the fact that it didn't catch that, to me, that's pretty bad. Now, I will say I did talk to some of the sales reps at the Evolve booth and things like that, and they did confirm their system doesn't really do well catching smaller knives. They said, I think one of the sales reps said, anything with a blade smaller than 4 inches, which is a pretty, a 4-inch blade or a 3.5-inch blade is still fairly large. So, I mean, even something like this, right? That essentially would mean Evolve isn't going to catch this. This is something that you want to catch, right? This is not, you don't want somebody, again, in a school, in a stadium, a casino, you could do some damage with that. Same thing with the multi-tool. Obviously, in all fairness, a gun, you're going to do a lot more damage. An Evolve system did seem to do pretty well catching the gun, but you can still do a lot of damage with, a pocket knife like that, or even the multi-tool, things like that. So to me, the fact that Patriot One, their system, did catch the knife, actually the gun, they also used a larger knife. It caught that. It caught the multi-tool, it caught that key knife, and it didn't alert on regular keys or anything like that. to me, that was pretty impressive. He also did go through, I think, with the knife, or not the knife, I'm sorry, his keys, his phone, and holding a laptop as well, and the system did not alert. Now, he did say, and I did walk through with my backpack, I got to test it, some of the other customers got to test it, or all of the other customers got to test it, walk through with different things. When I walked through with my backpack, it did alert, but I had a bunch of things in my backpack. I had my laptop. I had a little mini tripod, which there's some metal in there. I had a recorder. I think I had a few other things, a pen, things like that. And Peter did say when there's so many things like that, there's a lot of noise, it is harder for the system to tell. So that's kind of one thing there where it's a little bit of a limitation. But I will say, did the same thing with Evolve, walked through with my backpack. Every time I walked through with my backpack at their booth, it also alerted as well. So, pretty even there. Not really any advantage to either one as far as the clutter there. One thing I do want to mention also, when I went through with this at Evolve's booth, I actually know the sales rep told me at the booth what they had the system set to. It was their second highest sensitivity level, and it didn't catch this. So, to me, that says there's no way, even on the highest sensitivity level, that you're catching something like this, which, again, not as bad as a gun, but still something that you probably don't want in those venues. So that, kind of the main review of the actual product there. Some of the things, actually, one of the things that I learned, which was kind of interesting to me, is that those pillars, they can actually be placed up to 4.5 feet apart. So the Evolve, if you saw the images or the footage that I showed of Evolve's product, theirs is a 4-foot distance, and it's a set distance. It can't be adjusted. You can't make it smaller, you can't make it bigger. With the Patriot One pillars, you can set them to whatever distance you want. You can do up to 4.5 feet, which, some larger elevator doors, things like that, let's say you're maybe protecting or securing a specific floor or floors of a building, and you just have those pillars right outside the elevators when people walk onto the floor. That's something that you wouldn't be able to do in some cases with Evolve, because just the size factor, it wouldn't be able to actually secure that. So that was pretty cool, the 4.5 foot distance, which is pretty wide, by the way. A normal doorway, if you just think about that, that's about 30 inches. Like any commercial building, a doorway is maybe 3 feet. So 4.5 feet is pretty wide there. The other thing that he did mention, or actually that they did demonstrate as well, was the mask detection. So they did have the VRS there. They were demonstrating that. The camera here that you can see behind me, they had just kind of set that up as if it were a security camera at any venue or building that you were at. Remember, the MSG uses the existing security cameras that they have facing there to show that reference image with the circle wherever the object is detected. So they just kind of replicated that with the setup that they had, and they were actually able to demonstrate the VRS with mask detection. So Peter wore a mask, took the mask off, system automatically put a red box around his face, and it would track him as he walked around the camera. The one thing that they weren't unfortunately able to demonstrate with the VRS, which is the main thing with the VRS, is the weapons detection. So didn't actually get to see that in action, get to see that work. The reason is obviously same thing. The reason they're using the Decoy guns for the MSG, they're not allowed to bring actual weapons into the venue. So unfortunately didn't see that, but it was cool to see the system able to pretty quickly actually notice that there was no mask. I want to say it was less than a second. So that was pretty cool as well. So that is mostly what I saw in the actual demonstration, the actual meeting with Peter. Those are kind of the main takeaways that I got from it. One of the other things that I did want to mention is I did go actually around to kind of the neighboring casinos, and check out and see if I could see any Patriot One installations, any MSG towers. And I wasn't able to see any, and I did go to the plaza. I pretty much went to all of the ones on my list. If you guys are in my Discord server, I put a list in there of the casinos I was going to go to. The Plaza, the Downtown Grand, which is one of the casinos owned by Seth Score, who was on the City Age webinar that said that they use Patriot One's products. And I went to a few other casinos as well. I didn't see the MSG towers. Now, that tells me kind of one of two things, or both. Basically, either they're using VRS, right? Or none of the casinos that I went to are using their product. Or it could be that they're kind of like the stadiums, testing the MSG out in maybe an employee entrance, a VIP entrance, something like that, where it's not in the main entrance, which actually I was going to check out the Wynn Resort Casino, which I know uses Evolve's products, but when I was talking to the sales rep at the Evolve booth, he said I wouldn't actually be able to see it because it was at an employee entrance. So I'm thinking maybe there's probably some similar things going on with Patriot One's products. So just wanted to let you guys know that I didn't really see any, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not using it. So anyway, that's kind of mostly it for Patriot One's demo. I hope I gave you as much information as you guys wanted. Any questions, comments, whatever, leave them in the comments below. I'll get to all of those. Also, I will be doing, like I said, those 2 other videos. And after I do those 2 other videos, probably either this coming weekend or the week after, I will do a live stream for Patriot One and Evolve and basically answer any questions that you have relating to the conference, the demo, Evolve, Smarter Security, Patriot One, everything like that. So if you come up with some questions later, you can either leave them in the comments or you can ask them in that live stream. So thanks again to everybody that helped make this happen, and I hope you guys found this analysis helpful. Other than that, I will see you guys next time, and have a great day.